Today you see a t-shirt pattern that can also be a t-shirt dress. Amazing fit. There's a basta there. I've done a dress version with a super cute flounce at the back as a hack. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today I have a t-shirt pattern. It's not just any t-shirt, it's an amazing t-shirt. If you've been following along on this channel and the content I post very frequently, a couple of days ago I posted a super special episode dedicated for people who are newer to sewing, that are just getting their feet a little bit wet sewing needs, and I showed you many pattern brands have t-shirts, and I showed you the basic construction that's going to get you an amazing result. I didn't tell you back then what pattern I was using. Well, now I'm here to reveal what I was sewing. And what I was sewing is a new pattern from Itch to Stitch called Kashi t-shirt and t-shirt dress. Super nice. Of course, it's for knit fabrics. It's a semi-fitted design. It's shaped. It's not loose. It's not boxy at all. There's 3 different legs here. One is a little shorter, one at the mid hip, and then a dress version. You can sew a crew neckline rounded. You can sew a lower one, the scoop, or you can sew a V neckline. All of these are finished with neckband. You can use a short sleeve or you can use a long sleeve. I've done a short sleeve with my t-shirt, and my dress version, I did a little hack where I made it sleeveless because I really wanted a sleeveless dress. What's cool about this pattern is that you have a regular bust option and a full bust option. Full bust option has a basta right here, which makes all the difference with the fit. And why I like this t-shirt pattern so much, I think the fit is outstanding. Because the Kashi t-shirt and t-shirt dress pattern is brand new at Itch to Stitch, it'll be 20% off. The end of the sale will be Tuesday, the 1st of April. Make sure you grab it for a little bit less. If you want to support the work that I do here on YouTube, you can use my affiliate link. If you click on that link, that takes you directly to the website. And if you end up purchasing, the designer hands me over a small commission. So that is super important for me. I'll put my affiliate link at the top of the comment section, pinned right at the top, and also in the description box, so it's easy for you to find. Thank you so much if you end up using it. You need knit fabric for this one, light to medium weight. The typical ones you would use for t-shirts, cotton lycra, rib knit, athletic knits, maybe even a sweater knit if you want to make it a sweater with a long sleeve version. Double brush poly, ITY, rayon spandex, not my favorite, but you can use it. Modal spandex, bamboo spandex. I wouldn't go heavy Liverpool Ponte knits. I think that's too heavy for a t-shirt, especially the neckband's not going to work out very well. I also am not a fan of neckbands with ITY, although it is possible. It's very hard to manage. Sometimes the edges curl and it ends up a little sloppy. So sometimes you can use a different type of fabric for that area if you do want to use ITY for this. You need a little bit of fusible stay tape, or you can cut your own little pieces of fusible interfacing that you need to stabilize the shoulders right there. Sizing 0 to 40 US, up to a 62-inch hip circumference. Standard bust, full bust option. What's the difference here? You need to measure your high bust circumference and your full bust circumference. See what the difference is. And Itch to Stitch has a 3-inch cutoff, which is great. If you have 3 inches or less, you can use the standard bust. If you have 3 inches or more, you can use the full bust. So 3 inches, you can choose. See what works best for you. I am at that point. I have a 3-inch difference, and I know from experience that that basta makes a huge difference for me. With the feet turning out smooth here and not having those diagonal drag lines from the bust towards the hip area, which happens when you're just missing that dart there. It's like if you just pinch the dart, that would go away. That happens when you have a protrusion with the front going forward, which is the bust. If you look at the ease here, because it's for knit fabric and it's stretchy, you're going to have around 0 ease at the bust, which is perfect. This fabric is going to stretch around you and the neckline is not going to gape. Everything's going to fit nice. Then going down to the waist, it's around 6 inches, and then going down to the hips, around 2 inches of ease. Perfect, semi-fitted, not boxy, nice and shaped. Still a nice amount of ease to live comfortably and put, your skirt, your waistband, whatever you're going to wear underneath. So I really love that. I'm making the mid-hip version. I'm not changing the length of anything here. I'm making it as is. For the dress though, I am adding 3/4 of an inch to the total length because I think I need that for my height. There's shorten and lengthen lines for you to add them in 2 places depending on where you need that for your body. But I just added at the lower shorten and lengthen line, and that's all I needed for my dress. Don't forget to tap on the like button before stepping away from this video. It really, really supports the channel that way and lets YouTube distribute my videos a lot more so that other people that love to sew can find them. Thank you so much. Now for the sewing, we use 3/8 seam allowance. We use 3/4 inch hem. I have the full detailed sew along, especially for you who are newer to sewing. And even if you've sewn a bunch of things, maybe you'll pick up something different that I might do. Who knows? Go ahead and watch that video. I made it especially for you who are newer to this beautiful art. Otherwise, I'm going to show you a little bit about my hack. I added a little flounce to the back, which is super nice. A lovely hack I love to do, slash and spread method. I also made it sleeveless. So let's see a little bit about my dress version. I'm going to sew the Kashi t-shirt dress and I want to add a flounce at the back and I want to see where to cut the pattern. So I'm measuring about 4 inches below my bottom, the crease of my bottom, and that gives me 33.5 inches. That's where I want the flounce to start. So here I have my pattern on the table. I've measured it from the top, from the shoulder down to 33.5 inches. I made the little mark on the pattern piece. I'm going to grab a marker and draw a line across because that is what I'm going to cut off the pattern to create the flounce. I'm going to add seam allowance. I'm going to draw another line below it at 3/8 and that's what I'm going to cut away. And that is going to include the 3/8 seam allowance I need so that the back piece ends up the same length as the front piece. Here I have the bottom of the back piece on the table. I put some extra paper on the top so I can add seam allowance here to the top. So whenever you cut a piece, you need to add seam allowance to both pieces so that it ends up as the original one. So I added the 3/8 seam allowance there on the top so that when I sew the flounce to the bottom of the back piece, it will end up as per the original. 3/8 is what I'm using here. Now here is the bottom of the piece. This is meant to be cut on the fold, so I'm gonna keep it like that, and I've drawn lines about 1.5 inches apart, and I've drawn dots there right at the seam allowance. I'm gonna cut right up to the dot, up to the seam allowance. Don't cut all the way up to the top because that will distort the total length of the top, which I want to keep as the original. So I'm having a lot of fun with the arts and crafts here. Look, I'm going to destroy this little piece. If I want to make this pattern again, I can just print this little part out and stick it back onto the back because I'm basically destroying it. So yeah, just a lot of cuts right here. Now that I did all of those, I'm going to just flip this around and cut from the edge of the paper to the pivot points right there. That is going to allow me to spread all of these pieces out without distorting the length of the seam. I'm going to stick this onto a piece of paper right there that is going to be on the fold so it doesn't move. And now this is just about playing and fiddling. I'm going to open up each of these sections by about the same distance there, about 1.5 inches. And I'm going to be putting tape on there, just opening it up. I'm probably going to have to use a little bit more paper there on the top because it's going to turn out quite rounded. This is going to ensure the seam length is going to be the same. Okay, here's how it looks. You can see how much I added, spreading all of this out. Now I'm just going to fill in the gaps here with my marker and just make everything nice and curved. It's going to be a nice curved seam right there. Once I've got everything traced, I'm going to cut it out and then I'm going to unstick all the paper that I've got on top there so that I end up just with my regular pattern piece. Okay, here I have my flounce piece. It says fold there. I've got it on the fold and this is what I'm going to cut out and sew to the bottom of the back piece. So simple to create a piece that's going to make such a difference to the dress. Here are the pattern pieces for my dress. You can see the front, there's no change there. This time I have the V neckline option, so I have the V neckline over there. I've got binding because I'm going to make my sleeveless and the back is made out of 2 pieces, both on the fold. That flounce is going to go sewn to the bottom of the back piece. I've extended the back and the flounce. Both have a little mark in the center and you can see that the length of the flounce where I'm going to sew this together is exactly the same. It turned out perfect. There it is pinned, everything matched 1 to 1, and now I'm off to the serger. I'm actually going to serge without trimming anything away. I'm going to get that sewn. And then I'm going to sew it with my sewing machine with a narrow zigzag. This is how I'm going to do all my seams for this one because the fabric is medium weight and I prefer it like that. That's the flounce sewn on, the side seams pinned. You can see the side seams match perfectly front and back. So it was a perfect little hack, super fun to do. Now for the sleeveless armhole, I do it on my body. I just put with pins and fiddle until I know how much I want to make it narrower, because I don't want to leave it just like that. So I'm going to mark that with a friction pen, cut it out, and then use binding to finish that. Here you can see the piece I cut off from one armhole to make it narrower, and then I take that piece that I cut off and pin it onto the other side so that both end up exactly the same and symmetrical. This is my t-shirt. I made it out of rayon spandex, which is not a fabric I'm a fan of at this point, but I sort of came to this realization after a few years of these washing and not wearing too well over time. I think they turn out to be pajama material sooner than other types of fabrics, which is a shame, because the fabric is lovely. It's super soft. It's amazing to wear. You can find lovely prints, and I do have a nice amount of this type of fabric still left. That's why I did decide to use it for this t-shirt, because I think it's perfect. However long it's going to last, looking nice and crisp and sharp, I'm going to enjoy it. And then it's going to turn out to be a pajama top. So that is fine. There is my scoop neckline there, my neckband. I don't top stitch it. I just press it nice and flat, very carefully. I have the short sleeve with a twin needle. The basta, you can't even see it here because of the print, but it makes a huge difference. The hem is with a twin needle. I did stabilize these shoulders so that they don't end up stretching out over time and the shoulder sort of drooping lower. You know, washing and wearing does things to your knits. So I think that's important, and especially if you're doing a long sleeve, it can make a huge difference. So this is great. You know, you could think it's just a t-shirt, but the fit is so great. It's just so great. It makes me want to wear more t-shirts. Let's see this one on. This is my first Kashi top from Itch to Stitch. It's a rayon spandex with a very interesting print. I've got it tucked into an A-line skirt, also from Itch to Stitch. You will see it tucked out. It would look a little bit frumpy with this type of skirt. It's a very nice fit. There's enough ease. It's not boxy. It's not oversized. It's not fitted either. I think the ease is perfect. Here's a look at my neckline. I have the lower round neckline. There is a crew, which is higher, and there's a side bust there because I'm sewing the full bust option. I've got a size 10 at the bust with the full bust option blended to a 12 at the waist and then 14 at the hip. It's a very comfortable fit. I'm very happy with how the neckline looks. The neckband fits perfectly, doesn't gape. I can bend over and do whatever I'm doing in my life and I'm not going to show anything. The shoulder and sleeve fit is very comfortable. The seams fit exactly at the shoulders, so I'm very happy with my size choices here. I think the print is cool enough for me to be able to dress it up a little bit. That's how it looks like untucked. I've got the version that's a little longer. You can do a dress, you can do a shorter version as well. So I think it looks better tucked in with the skirt option, but you'll see when I pair it with other bottoms, it will be tucked out nice and relaxed. And it's very nice, a very nice fit. I'm very happy with it. Here I've got it styled more sporty with sneakers and a pair of denim shorts. I wouldn't want to tuck this in if I'm going to be out and about. I just want to be comfortable, and I think the length of the shirt is perfect. Same as the type of shorts and the amount of ease they have. I think it's a balanced look. So I'm very happy. You can see this is not hugging my hips. There's a little bit of ease there. There's a nice amount of ease at the waist, but it fits amazing there at the bust. I think that basta really helps you have a smooth fall of the fabric on the sides. I think it's a really great ad for a t-shirt. It's rare to see a basta on a t-shirt. I'm glad the basta is there for the full bust option. I think it does make a difference. And I'm super, super happy with how this turned out. I'm glad I bought this rayon spandex. I love the print. I know rayon spandex is not going to last a very long time, but for as long as it lasts, I know I'm going to enjoy this t-shirt. And then when it's not that pretty, I'll wear it as a pajama for a very long time as well. Here I've got a denim skirt in grey, A-line skirt, pull-up skirt, very comfortable. I've got silver pointy loafers with a silver leather bag, all keeping it in the grey tones. I think it looks really nice. This is a super comfortable outfit where I'm nice and casual, but I've made a little bit of an effort, which is the way I like to leave the house. I've got a side tuck there into my waistband, just to give the waist a little bit of a definition, but you can see it looks perfectly fine if I leave the shirt out as well. I can do whatever I want, you know, I'll be comfortable either way. You can swap the grey denim skirt for a colorful skirt. It's just what I was feeling today and I thought would look good paired together. There is the same look, but just with a half tuck. You can do all sorts of tucks if you feel that it looks better for the silhouette. I've kept the same accessories, same shoes, same bag. I've just swapped it for my white flare jeans. I think it looks really nice. It just brightens it up. It lightens up the whole look. There is a nice amount of white in the print of the t-shirt, so I think this is really nice. I love how this looks and it's super comfortable. I would feel very good with the t-shirt. Don't think t-shirts are too basic. You know, if you make them with a nice print like this one, it can look really nice. I'm very happy I had this fabric. Now, a couple of days ago, I went on a little shopping trip with my husband to another city, nearby-ish, about an hour away, for my belated birthday shopping spree. He took me a couple of weeks after my birthday because he wasn't here for my birthday. And I showed you a fabric that might have shocked your eyes. It's terribly colorful. Ta-da! Now it's a dress. I was obsessed with this fabric. I wanted to sew it up as soon as possible. And it's an athletic knit. I thought it was going to be perfect for my t-shirt dress. In this case, I used a V-neck band right there. Super nice. Love how that turned out. I absolutely love V-neck bands. It's just so nice. They look amazing. I have a detailed video on the channel showing you how to sew them. So have a look at that video. It's in full detail. And here on the sleeves, here the sleeveless armhole, I added binding, which is my favorite way to do it. When you put it right sides together, you just wrap around the seam allowance and then you stitch in the ditch, and that's the other edge of the binding there. Otherwise, it's just regular side seams. And then at the bottom, there's this beautiful flounce. I really dislike a flounce that hits right at your fullest part or a little below. I think it just highlights that area too much and like cuts it off. That's why I measured it on myself. So it was a good 4 inches below my bottom. So that's where the flounce would start. And I think it turned out amazing. Well, there's not much hanger appeal. I think you will be able to see it better when I model it. One thing I did different for my athletic knit was serge the edges and sew the seams with my sewing machine. And I pressed the seams open just because the fabric's a little heavier. Something I didn't do for my t-shirt, which was sew everything directly on the serger. So that's a little different there. I do change the way I sew things depending on the weight of the fabric. And I really like pressing my seams flat and open when I have a heavier fabric. Love this. Let's see it on. This is my Kashi dress from Itch to Stitch. This is a t-shirt pattern, but this one has a few hacks. I've made it sleeveless and I love this length. I added about 3/4 of an inch to the length and I added a little flounce on the back. It's very discreet, but it adds a little bit of swish there. Lovely in an athletic knit. This is a size 10 to 12 waist to 16 hips. There is a closer look at the flounce. I determined the length of it on myself. It's way below my bottom and I think it looks adorable if I say so myself. Check out this waist ease, super comfortable. This is not boxy, but it's not fitted either. It doesn't have a center back seam. There you can see the flounce a little bit. I'm so proud of how it turned out. It was so easy to do the slash and spread method and it adds something really special to a simple t-shirt dress that fits amazing. Love adding things like that. It is the V neckline option that I chose, which is part of the pattern. Neckband went in easy and you can barely see the bust studs there. I added sleeveless armholes and modified it to be a little narrower. You can see that the V neckline is not low. I can bend over and do things and nothing is gonna show. There's a closer look at the neckline, so lovely. The binding technique I use here, super discreet, stitch in the ditch, you can barely see it and it achieves the purpose of getting a great armhole. Absolutely love how this turned out. The colors are so vibrant. I will wear it on its own just because the dress is such a showstopper with the print. Lovely. But I will wear a topper only if it's red or black because I think those are the colors that suit me the best. Here is my lovely t-shirt dress, Kashi from Itch to Stitch with a Deba topper, also from Itch to Stitch. So lovely. I kept the black heels and the black bag just to tone the outfit down a little bit. This is gorgeous. I can't wait to wear this. You could swap the heels for sneakers as well or sandals or something more comfortable. Oh my gosh, this is just my dream dress. The print is everything and I love that little flounce. The length of the topper is fine. You know, this is not a fit and flare dress. It's not a bodycon either. I wouldn't wear a bodycon with a short topper like this. So I think the ease on this dress is perfect for this little topper. I think the silhouette is quite balanced. I love the length of the dress at the mid-knee. It's just so cute. I'm so happy I did the little hack and I made it sleeveless because let's be honest, I want everything sleeveless. That is actually what I want because it's so hot here. So I'm so happy I can make little changes to patterns that fit well and I can be 100% happy. I love how these turned out. These are going to be amazing. I'm thinking of making a white t-shirt. I actually do not have one. I'm looking for the right fabric for it. So that's something I really want to do because there are outfits that just want a basic white t-shirt. I don't have one. So that's coming up. I love it. I love that bust dart. Let me tell you how much I love it. I think it makes a huge difference to the fit. It's unusual to see a bust dart in a neat t-shirt. It's amazing. I wish all of the t-shirts had it for the full bust option or for a larger cup size. It makes a huge difference. And it made a huge difference for me. Very happy, highly recommend. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Go ahead and check out the full sew along that's already on the channel so you can see how to sew any t-shirt, including this one. And that's all from me. See you again very soon with more sewing content on this channel. Bye.